It's not the 10th. This is like the
24.
September 24th, 2019. I would like to stand and salute the flag while we start our meeting. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I don't think we have a whole heck of a lot on the plate this evening. I'm sure there's something like that floating around in here, my friend. You got one over there, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Cool.
Thank you.
You got it. So I think we're gonna jump right into superintendent updates.
Sure thing. Drilling and testing at wells 5 and 6 for the replacement sources has actually come back with a couple promising holes already. The first one was at 25 gallons a minute per foot, not too shabby. They relocated to a different location around well 5, come back with a well that came back with 46 gallons a minute per foot.
Wow.
And that's
That's water.
that's water. That's what you want.
That is some water.
Very close to its original yield. And I don't have a confirmed number, but they relocated across the street from the well today, and I was told
Across from well 5.
Right.
In the same 5 area, or is that?
same 5
All
area.
right.
Yeah, within that 400-foot buffer.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Across the road.
Gotcha.
From the location of
Yep.
the well. And I don't have an actual number, but I was told visibly, it looked like there was much more than that 46 was putting out the other day.
Wow. So we have a couple of
We
winners.
actually have some pretty good spots down there.
How deep, Frank? Were they
I
getting
believe they were right around the 50 or 60 foot mark.
Nice. Very nice.
Very good turnout for the first 2 or 3 holes.
Yep.
And we can only hope that 6 comes back very similar, and then we can we'll move forward to step 3.
So is that a modification of a well 5, or is that how does that go in the permitting process?
I think it's a replacement.
It's a new well.
It's a replace. It's not a new well; it's a replacement. There's different
Okay.
procedures.
I'm
for that.
thinking repair versus
It's a replacement.
It's a replacement.
You brought up a good point the other night, though. I saw that that if you wanted to bump up the yield with the treatment plant they have now, you could open the screen a little bit and allow more in. So
Right.
that you're not
We have
trying
more
to
options now.
filter it at the well, but
Exactly.
filter it at the plants.
Right.
So you get more yield out of it that way. So
You obviously don't want gravel
No,
going into
but
the
you
pipe,
can
but
make it
you
a
can
little better.
definitely increase
Yeah.
the openings on the screen
yeah.
and produce a better yield with less impact to the
Right.
to the location around it. So
Good then.
we have
Water
some
won't be a
options.
problem then, as
Right.
far as quality.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's very
been a lot
good
worse.
news. We were concerned, with the age and the size of the gravel pack, and how much work has been done in that one location with redeveloping in the exact same location every time we do a cleaning.
Right.
You can really impact the gravel.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are really good numbers.
Excellent. Excellent.
So there's some good news. Doesn't always happen.
No, that's hey.
We'll take it when we can.
What is it? I'd rather be lucky than good. That's
There you go.
that's lucky.
Yeah. More good news. The treatment staff issues that we've been having seem to be just about in the final stages. The selectmen had a meeting last Thursday, executive session after the original meeting, and they agreed to the changes that were proposed in the existing contract for the staff and agreed to add the new positions for the primary and secondary operators at the rate that was agreed upon.
Good.
Right now, the wording is gonna go back to the union for signatures, then it will come back to the selectmen for their signatures, and at that point, I'm told then I can finally advertise for it.
Good. And these are what? Cena A, Cena B?
No, this is the 1702, the local union.
Okay.
That the guys are in now.
Okay.
New positions
Same
are
union.
created in that unit.
Okay.
So that gives people the chance to move up from within. The one question that I had, and I was hoping I was gonna get granted permission for, was an exception to post in-house and externally at the same time to avoid the delay that could happen. With the union, you have to post in-house 7 days,
Okay.
and then from there you go for your external seeking for employments. So I anticipate internal movement. It's not always guaranteed, but it would have been nice to have the approval to post simultaneously.
Yep.
Knowing that, even if I put an ad in today, it's not gonna run till the weekend.
True.
So now you already have 3 days down. By the time somebody reviews it, gets an application, and you're well over your week.
And it's the same. It's the same as what it would be with the lag.
Right. So I was just trying to speed up the process. The union didn't want to go for that, so we'll follow their rules and do it that
Well,
way.
they have, you know.
A couple of the, switching gears, a couple of the lease on the towers are coming to the end of their term. One of them is an extension request for Sprint. They are requesting the extension of the existing contract, which will be up July 2020. So effective July 17th, 2020, they would like to extend the contract for an additional 3 renewals, and each renewal is 5 years. So it's a total of 15 years. They'd like to extend their existing contract based on the percentage increases that have already been in the contract. And Rose has looked over the numbers, feels everything is adequate there. She sees no reason why we should not grant the extension to the existing contract that's still in place. There's a second one that's coming up, same time frame. This one actually is going to come up and expire. This is for T-Mobile. Same tank, Cottage Street elevated tank. The original lease was signed in 1999. It was a 10-year lease with 2 5-year extensions. They're coming up to the end of that. So we don't have the option to give them an extension. We have to go for a whole new RFP.
Yep.
And with the limited space that are on the towers now, I think there's going to be some negotiating going on the rent coming in. So that's something that we'd like you guys to think about.
And when are the contracts due, or when do we have to make decisions by? Like, when does this one expire? And we certainly don't want to wait till then, but I...
Correct. This one, reading the document that I have here, is August 30th, 2019.
So we're past the rate.
Okay.
Do we know what the rates are?
It's gone.
Do we know what the rates are in other towns that do the similar thing with cell phone companies and
I do
stuff?
not
Because
have-
20 years later, I'm sure the rates are a lot better now than they were back then.
Right. I would assume with the amount of technology that's out there and the amount of people that fight for towers, I think,
Yeah.
the numbers will be comparable. I
Sure.
don't know what other towns have or get.
Okay.
But that would be a complete new RFP that would have to go out. Obviously, it's gonna cost a little bit of money to do that, where the other one is just in addition to...
Renewal.
Yeah. To an existing.
Extension.
Right.
Well, I think since it's expired or gone past the number date, I think email out to them to say we need to get together. I don't know if they come to a meeting or we do some email back and forth. And I don't know if we come up with a number for them, maybe we compare it to our other lease and see what kind of thing that is, and maybe we have 2 flying the same way.
Right.
Or, we'll give them the first shot at your highest and best offer going forward, because then we'll put it out to somebody else, and, we're only motivated to get the best deal for us, so. Although we have a history with them, I wanna make sure we make the best deal possible for that antenna or
For that limited space.
communication
on the
space.
tower, Sure.
So if, at least correspondence in as our time, as our contract has expired,
A month ago.
we need to get after this sooner rather than later, so if we can, use the next 30 days to at least get a little tighter number together, however that happens, whether it's them making a new proposal. I would really like that. I often think in the negotiating world, it's better to let them say, give us your highest and best offer and see what you'll say, rather than kind of shooting ourselves in the foot and going low.
Negotiate against yourself.
Yeah, let them make their offer, and maybe they have a sweetened deal, or maybe they start, I don't know how they do
Right,
it.
how it's gonna work, sure.
But just the reach out is, hey, we realized, we overlooked the deadline or the expiration date. What do you propose going forward? I would like to think about this space, and
That makes perfect
we'll make a
sense.
decision, maybe we'll get an update at our next meeting and make a decision, the one after that. And what about, the Sprint one? So that's going to like kind of roll over with the predetermined increases and whatnot?
Exactly. It's set to expire July 16, 2020. This would be effective July 17, 2020, the extension of
Right.
the additional 3 terms.
Okay, good. And if you could please ask Rose to quantify the Sprint and compare it to what the T-Mobile comes back with, and just do a kind of comparison, that would help us out.
What's going on with the other guys? Are they still looking for a refund? Because they weren't able to lease out the space?
I have not heard no more about that, honestly. Usually no news is good news, but
Yeah.
not always. Now we'll jump to something totally different. This is a heads up for the next meeting. David Cohen, the owner of the property at 60 West Main Street, which is the site for the new proposed Cumberland Farms. Still moving forward, still wants to have the Cumberland Farms go. He realizes that it's in a Zone 3 protection area, so he has, I believe it's an article at the town meeting, for discussion for the zoning to be changed as far as what the limitations are in that Zone 3. And he would like to come before the board next, I believe it's October 8th is our next meeting. We haven't set it yet.
Whichever,
but
yeah, we'll
that's
do
potential.
second Tuesday, I think you're right, 8th and 22nd.
Right, so he will be on the agenda for 6:45 at the next meeting. He just wanted to make everybody aware that what his intent is, and he would like to have the board behind him as far as moving forward, making sure that he meets or exceeds all the requirements needed for having the gas station in that Zone 3 or right at the edge of the Zone 3,
Right,
provided that it gets approval at town meeting, which is on the 21st. So I believe he's looking for a letter of recommendation from the Water and Sewer Department.
Yep.
Obviously, the commission as well.
what's your, first of all, where does the Zone 3 fall? Is that property within Zone 3? Is it next, so it's in
It
Zone
is
3?
In Zone 3.
And what do we, are there gas stations allowed in 3, or
There are not.
not?
I think so. At
Not
least not USTs aren't allowed, right?
Right.
So they plan on getting an exemption, putting ASTs in place?
They
What's their plan?
They were looking at doing some type of a wording change on the Zone 3 limitations. Right now, other communities allow gas stations in the Zone 2 and the Zone 3, as long as they meet certain requirements, whether it be double wall tanks.
Double wall tanks and a vault.
Oh, they have to, okay.
Yep, or
Makes sense,
elevated
yes.
tanks, outside of the ground if they were in a zone protection area and a floodplain, similar to the Bay Road project that they're
Right.
talking about there. So there are criteria to be met
Sure.
to make it work.
Bay Road project?
Bay Road, the other Bay Road.
This is, yeah, a different one. This is one in
This is
West Main Street, where the bank used to be, Peter.
Yep, that's right, in the one in Bay Street, and what's the gas station gonna be on the Bay Street? And
That's a gas station, car wash,
It's
and
a ton, right off
it's
the
a
top.
large
Truck-
complex.
truck stop.
Basically.
Yeah.
But it's in Taunton.
It's
Right.
proposed. right.
Yep. What's the gas station's name gonna be?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. I don't know if they have a name on that
They
one
still
yet.
have to get approval still to
Right.
do it.
They're still working
They've
on
already
that part
got
of it too.
Yeah.
That one there would be in a Zone 2, which is in Taunton's protection area.
Right.
But that's a state right, not a town right, so even if the town allows it, the state has a say in what's gonna be decided.
They have, yeah, there's a lot of hoops to go through.
Yeah.
So everything on that project currently is on hold. You know, they had requested to do an upgrade on the existing water service to make sure that they can supply their Cumberland Farms with enough water prior to the moratorium going on. You know, I've spoken with their contractor, explained the situation, it has to go before the meeting, it has to get, there's hoops to go through. And it doesn't make sense to spend any money on doing an upgrade to a service if you can't guarantee that that service is gonna be viable for whatever happens to the property in the future. It just doesn't make good business sense to me to say, yeah, I'm gonna take your money and go put a 2-inch service in, but can't guarantee you're gonna be able to build on that property, so.
Well, they'll build it, just might not be a gas station.
It could be something else, exactly, which may require a different size water service, so now we just get into,
Yep.
you know, a snowball, and that's not
Yeah.
what we're looking for, so. David just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware, what his intentions are, that he is still moving forward, and wants to come in and do a short presentation on, you know, why he feels that, this should be built there, what changes, he's able to do as far as meeting the requirements.
Right, and so going down the street, Frank, I keep thinking, I'm gonna call it Hess,
Yep.
because I don't, now it's Speedway.
Speedway.
Exactly.
Speedway.
I gotta stay with it, keep me
Yeah.
honest, Speedway.
Speedway.
It's Speedway. So Speedway's out of the Zone 3, it's
Yeah.
that close?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is at the edge of a Zone 3,
It is
can I say?
pretty much at the edge of a zone 3.
Yep. So are we, it's an interesting thing. I mean, the reason you have a well zone is because some of it is sensitive, but
Potential
At-
drinking water source.
at the outer edge, how much different is it than being at Speedway? Because
Right.
it's kind of a bit down the road, but it's not, you can see property to property.
Right.
Um,
The impact on the zone 3 is typically for potential runoff in that zone.
Overfill, spill, or something
That can
topical.
get into a zone 2.
All right.
You know, zone 1
Yeah.
and 2, you don't have any options there.
Right.
You know, the 3 is basically if you had, you know, a 100-year flood, you know, major infrastructure issues
Mm-hmm.
that it could actually migrate to the zone 2 or, God forbid, the zone 1.
Right.
So that's why those were put in place and the barriers just grew.
Yep.
So the outskirts of Zone 3.
Yes.
It has to be because Speedway's relatively new and huge.
Right.
I don't know what they have for storage, but it's not,
That
it's not
location's been
10,000, it's probably 30,000 underground, it's huge.
And it's underground, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Those tanks are big, I'm sure.
Yeah. So,
I mean, with the technology they have now, with all the sensors and the alarms and the double and
yeah,
tanks.
double wall with a vacuum, you can tell what happened in the inner tank.
Right, I mean, I think all the measures will be in place because of the technology that we have now. But there's multiple people that have to feel the same way before that gets approved.
Right, yeah, I'm trying to
Mhm.
get my feeling on the location of it in the actual, what it would be a donut that is 3 around Zone 2. So, are we somehow harming, are we making a hardship for them by not giving them a gas station if Speedway down the street? I mean, it is out of the Zone 3, but
Relatively close.
somebody with a savvy attorney might be able to argue that, you know, you're 3 businesses down from that guy.
Right.
So it's something, I don't know, it's worth thinking about. And he's coming next time.
He will be here at the next
All
meeting,
right.
as long as we determine what day it is. The assumption was it would be the 8th.
Yep.
So either way, he will be on the next agenda regardless.
And
of
now
what day it
he's
is.
the property leg of Cumberland Farms?
He's the property owner of 60 West Main.
Okay,
Yeah,
So-
Cumberland Farms approached him about putting.
so they
this
are
building-
negotiating.
So if it gets approval at the town level and then Cumberland Farms will come in and buy it and build it.
That
He
is
still
what
owns it
that is
until
what I
then.
believe,
Okay.
right. We have a set of plans here, if you really wanted to take a look at what it was. They kind of look like a cookie cutter set of plans,
Sure,
you know, with all the new style going up. I believe it's going to be very similar to the very modern one that they built in Attleboro, as far as building architecture
Right,
design.
no, it's kinda nice.
Nice looking building, exactly.
it looks more in keeping with
Right.
what it would be our village commercial.
Yes.
Like that Dunkin' Donuts down the street is a little less Dunkin' Donuts-y
It
than
is,
most of
than
them.
most, right. It's not a huge site, they're gonna use
Tight.
every
Yeah.
inch of that site to make it work.
Right.
Corner building in the back corner, you know, bays in the center with an in and out,
Mhm.
you know, pretty nice looking design.
Pretty good location.
Right, it's gonna be a very good location, especially with the college,
Yeah.
you know, the high school, middle
There's no
school
other
kids,
gas
everybody
stations
walking back and
in
forth.
Right.
that area, you know,
Right.
It's
center of
a
town.
popular location,
Yeah.
for sure.
We'll have to see what he has to say.
Plus,
That's how the Walgreens was. They had a land development group first, or maybe a land development group got it. And then, so the development people went through, got the haz waste from that trolley station that was there.
Right.
Yes, and there used to be a gas station prior to that, and speaking of the companies, that plant Cumberland Farms is next door, that used to be a Cumberland Farms at the next door, the Zip and Zip donut shop back in the 1970s.
Sip and Sip Donut Shop, yep.
Yep.
Very good.
Did Walgreens go in after CVS or before?
Walgreens went in 2004,
After.
and after CVS, and then CVS went in 2000.
Jeez, Peter.
That's right,
You asked.
You asked.
I know.
that's right.
I know. Wow, it's like Wikipedia over here.
You're right.
He's got it he's got it live. Thank you, that's awesome.
That's right.
All right,
So,
no, good.
some food for thought.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Like I said, he'll be here and he'll plead his case and explain, he's held the property for quite some time with the goal of making Norton a better community.
Right.
You know, I think he's on the right track. There's a small hang-up, obviously, with the zoning.
Yeah, we tried
Right.
to get a drive-through in there one time, didn't he? And
I believe that was denied.
denied it, right,
Yes,
so this is a new idea.
Mhm. That was because of the drive-through speaker, not just the
Oh,
drive-through.
it was? I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yes.
Wow.
That was the reason that failed. Because it will be an external speaker.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
Yes,
Sweden's not loud.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, it is why we're sewering that leg of 123 right now to get
Develop, yeah.
Right?
business, industry, taxpayers that
Yeah.
don't necessarily use a lot of municipal resources. This is one way to do it.
Yeah.
And if, I mean, Cumberland Farms and all of their stations has to have some way to triple check the environment. So if they can produce documents and,
Right, it's
A
not
very
like it's
good level
a
of
small
certainty.
mom and pop
no, right,
station
they're
trying
not,
to go
right.
in. They're enormous, and
Are they gonna keep the location on 140 still, if they do this?
I have not heard that they would not. I would believe they probably would. That seems to be a very popular location, as I believe this new one might be as well. Just for the,
Definitely.
you know, it's all about location. That's all the good news I have. I'll pass it off to somebody else who's
Nothing but
smiling.
good news today.
They were good, thank you.
So the Cumberland Farm, the site there, you had sent an email that there was some equipment parked
Yes.
out there. Did we get to the bottom of that?
I have heard no more about that.
Okay.
I
sent
spoke
the
with
email.
David.
I don't think it's Rockio
I
because they're
don't
right
think,
across
I
the
think
street.
it was the gas company. I really do
Okay.
think that they utilized that property. There was, what he's referencing is, I spoke with David. He had questioned, because he remembers that we had reached out to him at one
Right.
point for utilizing his land as a
Right.
laydown area. And he just happened to be going through town and saw that there was equipment parked on his
Right.
property. So he requested that he doesn't mind anybody uses it, but if it
Just wants
was,
rent.
if it was Rockio using it, he just wanted to make sure the insurance documents were in place.
Right, no, that's what he said last time. He was very open to the
Right. The only
concept, but
he was concerned about are the driven site wells that are there for testing.
Right.
The monitoring wells.
Sure.
Right.
They
Don't
destroyed.
destroy.
Exactly. And I have not heard from Rockio that they had used it, so my assumption is that it was the gas company that came in.
yeah.
They're not
and
out
did
there
the
anymore,
emergency
right?
repair.
I
don't
think
believe
by the
they're
other day, I didn't see anything out there.
Yeah, there was an emergency gas repair that was done for the church in the center of town. During excavation, the service had ruptured. So they came in with their equipment, repaired it, and I think that's what happened, is they shuffled down the road and just found a spot to put it
Sure.
for the night. So,
Seems likely.
we know how valuable it is to find a parking spot for an excavator.
We'll talk about that. They don't have wings. So
Right.
That's what Rockio's
Oh, I was
responsibility.
happy to see Home
They
Street
don't have
started though.
wings.
Yes,
Yes,
Where do you want me to
great.
put it?
I was waiting in traffic for a little while, but I was happy to see the
Sorry.
excavator out there, so
Right.
that was good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, Weston and
You're good?
Sampson.
I'm good.
All right. So Tara had sent an email with some updates on the water. So I'll go through that first, and bear with me because I'm reading it for the first time. I think some of it overlaps with what you already said, Frank. So the wells 5 and 6 replacement phase 1, she mentions that they're out there on site. So that's what you were talking about earlier, and that testing is ongoing. So far so good as you reported. But the contractor, Methuen, needs to hold off on installing the new water main from wells 5 and 6 to the water treatment. Okay, so you kind of updated on that. And then the water treatment plant itself, the bi-weekly meetings have been switched to Wednesdays.
Yes.
So there's a meeting tomorrow. Tara says you and Derek and Weston and Sampson will be there. So the meetings are The next meeting is tomorrow, and they're waiting on an updated schedule from Methuen. But again, the new water main is on hold for a couple of weeks. So she talks again about the test wells. They need to install the water main, clean well number 5, and install the lower head pump on 5 before startup occurs. So once approved, well 5 can pump into the system through the water treatment plant. So those are all related. So Holmes and East Main water main. So Gravity Construction was awarded the contract. They started digging yesterday. Jimmy Aragle was out there for that work also. And they've installed the water main along Holmes from the cemetery to Norton Glen Road. Total project, when it's complete, will be 1,100 feet plus services, and they've installed 500 feet in 2 days.
Gravity
We don't
rock.
have Friday.
I knew we'd get
Right.
Friday.
That's awesome.
And I think they stopped because they didn't want to block the access to Norton Glen.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
They kind of
Yep.
stopped just short of it
Right.
to keep it open.
You're gonna have to go through it eventually though, right? Because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crossed
Oh,
over
yeah,
the
yeah, they
entrance,
will.
It'll be just a day.
Yeah, it's a quick
Yeah.
day, yeah.
They're working in coordination with an existing contractor that's doing work inside the Glen. They're seal coating and line striping the roads.
As soon as they finish closing up the hole, they, wow.
So they're in there, that they're trying to offset, make sure that neither one of them gets in each other's way.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's working out pretty good.
So at this point, she says they expect this work to be done by mid-October,
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
including everything.
And that's a nice gravelly section of town too. The good material they should
Just in
have.
time with the fall flush.
Maybe we should move the West Main Street sewer over there. Can we?
Well, you need a couple of Gravity's production guys. Gravity's going so well, you gotta
500
play,
feet in 2 days.
play your fantasy.
We don't have 500 feet yet, and it's
No.
in 2 months.
Right, no, you need your fantasy trench people. We need a couple of Gravity's guys with Rockio and switch them over.
Bring them over.
And not that those guys shouldn't
No,
do that, but
it's a whole
it's
different.
just, yeah, double
different
deep and worse
situation.
material.
Yeah,
Once
no,
they
they
get to the
just.
road, they'll
yeah.
do better.
Yep.
Going to West Main Street, they'll do
But
better.
anyway, we'll get to that. So the master plan, you guys met on that, right?
We did that last week.
On September 12th, at the Foxborough office, to review the draft master plan. She says, Frank, you've provided some comments, so if anybody has comments, just let Tara know, and they will wrap it up. Once they have your approval, they'll finalize it.
Good.
Excellent.
And then the water, so I haven't even skimmed this one. Water Management Act permit, order to complete OTC assistance. So, okay, so Weston Sampson met with, so you guys met with the DEP on September 17th. In good shape to wrap this up in the coming weeks. Waiting on confirmation from DEP on deeded land language, but otherwise they agreed with all of the proposed responses and should be ready to issue a draft permit for public comment by the end of October. As it came up at a previous commission meeting.
And the whole
I'd
issue of
address
trying to
this
push to 1 and 3, and
So-
it doesn't make sense.
That's,
So
I
D-
mentioned that before, they're
Yeah.
trying to decrease the usage of 4, 5, and 6. They were
Because of the stress
unaware.
aquifer, 4, 5, and 6, yeah, you
Exactly.
mentioned that before.
Yeah, so that's what that meeting was about. They
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
physically sit down and have a discussion about why, and we had to just prove to them the reasons why.
Now's the time to have that conversation after we put
Right.
$12 million
Yeah,
on getting those
yeah,
treatment plants.
You got it, right.
4, 5, and 6, maybe
So-
8 years ago would have been a good time to do that.
Right, so,
Not good timing.
exactly. We showed them more than they needed to see for reasons why it wasn't justified to do that,
Excellent.
and they agreed, so.
Good.
Okay, very good. So the Pine Street Water Main, Concom meeting
Yes.
was last night. Apparently it went well. They are continued until the 7th, because they haven't received Natural Heritage and Endangered Species letter yet, which they got this morning.
Oh, good.
So they now have
And-
that. And the wood turtle habitat around well 1. It just says wood, so what, so Frank, tell us about the wood turtle habitat around well 1.
You don't need to pull a special permit if you dig during basically the winter and early spring.
Yeah, they're dormant from
October.
Exactly.
April.
October to April,
Yeah.
which typically is when we don't do any type of excavation because it's the winter months.
Yeah.
So we're gonna work with Jennifer and Conservation to see maybe we can do a partial install during the winter months and get it out to the road. Obviously Keith would have to allow that for digging during the winter if we can get the road to be in safe condition.
Right.
You could put turtle monitoring in the spec when you write it up.
Are you available?
Well, I could do it. We bill lots of money for turtle monitoring.
No, I meant to sit down there and look for the turtle.
Set up a barrier and then just inspect it. So, but I was going to ask you before you move past the DEP, did you have favorable meeting with them as far as getting the same person to talk to you now, who's going to be doing the inspections and kind of streamline the whole
That is
process?
a different person at DEP.
Oh no.
Yes. Yes, these were 3 people I've never met before, but they were very nice when they showed
All
up.
right.
The person we're talking about for the inspection at the plant, we have not had contact with.
Still
We're
waiting
waiting
for
on the approved schedule change from Methuen to show when we're ready to go. We don't want to call them prematurely
Sure.
and say, we're thinking we can do it this day. You know, we want to have everything in order, so it's ready to go. They can show up, we can show them exactly what our plans are, and we'll run from that point on, so.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
there has been a
That's-
small delay on reaching
right.
out to that person. We don't want to.
No, you don't want to jump the gun with them,
Exactly.
because the first impression is critical, you don't, I don't.
We just want to make sure that everything is in order.
Yep, very
You know,
good.
do our own testing in-house prior to.
I was gonna say, you can have a light, private showing.
Exactly.
Get it, you know, do you do little fade, do this section and then that section and.
Right, we'll bring water into the plant, make sure there's no leaks, nothing that's going to be, you know, a foolish setback. And take care of that prior to, you know, having our full-on inspection.
Absolutely.
Because for the sake of a week or, you know, a few more days,
Exactly.
that would be a huge setback to see them see something bad, then they're gonna be like, all right, we want 6 weeks out.
Exactly.
Very good.
All right, so I think that covers Pine Street. Tara just said she's trying to see if we need to be at the next meeting, or if it's just a formality. So she got an email into Jen.
Yeah, we'll have to close the public hearing the next meeting. So
Yeah.
whether you guys show up, whether you do it,
Somebody will have to
somebody
be
will have
there.
to just be
Okay.
there just to open it and then close it, and that'll be it. It's a formality.
She's got an
But,
email into Jen. so-
Somebody asked me, we still plan on opening up to bid in the spring of next year? Is that the plan still, or are we gonna try to follow?
For Pine Street?
Yeah.
I think the talk was getting it, bidding it now.
Being
And for
ready
a
to
spring
start for
start,
spring
As soon as the
construction.
winter's over, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
why not?
Yeah.
That was the original discussion,
Okay.
yeah.
And so people, contractors can just line up work for the spring?
Mm-hmm.
Get the first one out of the gate,
Right.
or one of the early ones, I should say. May not be first.
Okay. And the last thing on the water is the Reservoir Street water mains, so the project is complete. You have the final pay rec that I just hand delivered. Weston & Sass has reviewed it and is recommending processing the final payment. What did she say? I would also recommend holding the check until we have closeout paperwork from DOT. The closeout application is ready, just waiting. So you've got that for signature, closeout application. Today, you just got that today,
Yes.
it says.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the retainage, or there's still a 1-year retainage sitting there?
No, this is dealing with the permit, the state DOT permit.
Okay,
For the work had to do out in the street to close
Okay.
that up. And that's gone, and,
so this is just that? All right.
fine.
Yeah.
And then there was one issue with a homeowner that had some complaints,
It's a driveway issue or something?
but he's just beyond the project area, and we got the documentation to show that things were like that before the construction started.
Wow.
That's number
Okay.
127 Reservoir.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Good.
Gravity met with the homeowner early August. They don't agree that it's a problem. Pretty clear from aerial imagery that the driveway was damaged before construction. Probably looks a lot worse since the town finally built around it. I mean, I don't know. At this point, I think our recommendation is that it be rejected. The request is invalid. Okay, so anything else on the water?
I think that's
Cover
everything, yeah.
the water side?
Yeah, and they're still working on the timeframe to schedule a tour for the Chatham facility.
Yes.
And
That's what, yeah, Tara had asked
the
me to
10th
follow
and
up
the
with you.
15th, I think are the 2 dates that were out there. And I think both were acceptable to the commission members and, you know, Frank and staff to see if, you know, folks want to attend for that day.
So you're looking into that with
Yes,
staff?
I'm
too?
waiting to hear back from a few of the staff that may be interested in going. I think the late in the afternoon was the hang-up, as far as being there, staying after, and, well, after normal hours, I should say, not staying after. Yeah. So, if they're available, great. If they're not, they'll see one soon enough.
Yeah.
They can see one now.
Alright.
Well, that's why I thought about the earlier date,
Rather than
time in
put
the,
it two. yeah.
time in the day that people
Yeah.
would probably, I'm assuming 7 to 3 is what they do.
That's gotta be typical hours,
Yeah.
I would assume. Yeah.
We'll see.
Alright, so on the sewer side, update on West Main Street, so the work, I'm not sure if it was complete the last time we met, so everything on Wheaton, actually they had that one last piece to do, so the last piece of Howard out onto Taunton Ave is now done, so all the pipe on Fillmore and Howard is in the ground, the contractor has turned onto Taunton Ave and is progressing towards 123. On Taunton Ave, there was an incident, so when they turned onto Taunton Ave, they've been using the dirt lot that Wheaton owns just past Howard Street on the left there.
Yeah.
They've got that gravelly lot. And
Almost
Wheaton
on the way
basically
to
said
their
once you're...
campus security
once-
building or whatever.
Yeah, so all along Wheaton had said when school starts, we need that lot back. They let them be there for a couple extra weeks, and then they said, we really need you out of there. So the first night that they couldn't park this is just about the excavators that they use during
yeah.
the day, they're enormous.
Yep.
You know,
No,
I don't have to tell you, but you've seen an excavator or two. And,
Yep.
And they have
They
two
don't-
big ones, because they've got
Yep, they
a
don't
ramp,
hide.
they've got a
Yep.
hammer on one, and they're
Yep.
digging with the other.
And it's all deep, so
at the end of the day,
Exactly.
the first day they couldn't park in the lot, they walked it over onto Howard Street, took up half the road. It's basically, when they were actually digging on Howard Street,
Yeah.
that's where they were leaving it.
Right.
And then left it with a sign that said road closed. So they left for the day, and Wheaton came in the morning, and that was there. So it wasn't well received.
They didn't like that
They
so
went
much.
through.
So they reached out to everybody. So we tried to work with, I came out that night to try and help them find a site. There's really nowhere to park it. I mean, so basically I told them that night, listen, your only option, if you can't park in the gravel lot and you can't park it on Howard Street, you gotta walk it back to the yard.
Yep.
It's like 1,200 feet.
Yep.
They didn't like it. They did it that night. I got the request for change the next morning for the 30 minutes it's going to take them to walk it at the end of the shift and at the beginning of the shift, so an hour a day. They're looking to be compensated.
That's Main Street, close to the yard.
Yeah, that's the goal. So
I think
that happened
sounds
the
like-
one night.
It sounds like we'll talk about that in a little while
Yeah,
after.
well, that happened the one night, and we had emails in that day with Wheaton and with others to try and come up, and I talked to Frank, we were trying to find a place to put it. And Wheaton actually came back the next day and said, all right, we get it, they marked off a spot in the corner of their
Nice.
gravel lot
Yeah.
for while you're on Taunton Ave. Once you
Okay.
turn onto 123 and you're not in front of
Find
their
another
property,
house.
they said, we're done with you then.
Yeah. Hey, that's all right.
So
That's
it
all
is
right.
something. Because once they turn on 123, then they're 800 feet from that lot,
Yep.
Yeah.
and they're
And they're going
1,500
closer.
feet
Right.
from there.
Yeah.
But it's going to become an issue when they're done on Taunton, and we put them on notice that they need to figure it out. I don't know if there's what options we have that we can help them with. If any of those lots, halfway to the yard, if there's a town property that has some grass area in it, that they can,
How close
Get
to
it
the
off the
historical
road.
commission site? Is there a historical commission?
yeah, is
building?
that before the bank?
That is before the lot where we have the laydown area now.
It's before it,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're not gonna come up with something tonight, I don't think, but, they need to be thinking about it. We need to make it clear to them that if, worst case, if you have to walk it back to the yard, you have to walk it back to the yard.
That's just not a huge thing.
It,
Do they have a low bid? I mean, if it's such a big deal, put put your truck up here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't,
we can talk about that. We can talk about that.
I don't see that as a,
Can't you go and change the gearing on the final drives for them?
Buzzing on the road.
they have a rabbit and they have a turtle. You put it on rabbit and you go.
Right.
They do.
We,
And that thing should fly.
How many more days of Taunton Ave are there, do you think?
at their current pace, probably 4 more weeks.
4 more weeks, okay,
Yeah.
so it's time to think about that.
For that
Which-
small stretch?
20 feet a day. They got 600 feet to go. I didn't do the math, actually. I just made that up. But 20
No, it's-
feet a day, 600 feet to go.
That's a lot of days.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of days.
They gotta catch a break somewhere here. So, and actually, Luke is gonna come out to the site. We're gonna have a tailgate meeting after this
Bring
meeting
them in a little bit.
and talk about a few
Well,
things. Well, just listen to them.
it's-
They've got a lot of issues out there and they wanna be heard at least. And so we'll talk to them and we're working with them on several things right now. As far as the construction itself, it's one thing after another. And right now, the boulders have turned into ledge at the bottom of the trench. So they're hammering away and getting about 2 pipe a day. And
How deep is the
20
ledge?
yards. The ledge is like 5 feet down and they gotta get 8 feet to get the pipe in. So they're hammering it. And
Any
they're
water
getting
yet?
it. Groundwater? No, that hasn't been an issue. That has not been an issue.
That's the only thing they haven't found.
Right, well, yeah, once they get through the ledge, I'm sure it's down there.
It's waiting for them.
So, yeah, they're plugging away there. So actually, before they started the work on Taunton Ave, we were aware, the last time we met, so they had started the crew in the intersection on 123 and they were working on 123. They came to, the last night they were out there, they actually encountered the gas service for the church, which was encased in an old abandoned, I think, telephone duct. And they had 3 ducts in a row. I didn't do that on purpose.
You open that door,
3
Peterson.
duct beds in a row.
Huh? How about that, Peter?
And as they were digging under them, the one with the gas service undermined.
Right.
Fell through.
Settled a little.
Yep.
Crack broke the gas service. So they definitely lost some time that night, and they shut it down. The gas company, they backfilled up to where the gas service is. So they
Yeah,
backfilled their
support the gas
trench.
line.
And then the gas company has since come out with their own equipment, fixed it, plated it, and left. Now, the issue is that Rockio moved over to Taunton Ave, and they haven't gone back over there. So now those plates are there.
Still.
Gas company is saying those are rented plates, we want them back. We need to get those plates out of there. Mass DOT is calling and saying you gotta get the plates out. I think the police have called or have been contacted that the plates are an issue. So now it's a scheduling thing because they've shifted gears and are over on Taunton Ave. They really don't wanna go back and deal with going underneath those 3 duct banks again right now. But something's gotta give. So, and we can talk more about that tonight. I mean,
Okay.
basically, they've gotta take care of that. So, we can talk more about that. Just as an update, so, so I think that's where the crews are at. They're not running away and hiding, you'll be able to find them.
They're not moving that fast?
No, and
They'll be missing
yeah.
them?
20 feet a day.
So, we've got the SRF approvals came in, so the trust got back to the Catherine, the treasurer, and finance people. So, we've actually, well, let me take a step back. So we want to process an SRF payment application or request, but first, we do have another payment application from Rockio. So when you guys met a couple weeks ago, you approved their first one. That was for work back in July, and we had been holding it because they had to get their paperwork wasn't compliant with the wage rates. Yeah, the certified payrolls.
There you go, yep.
So it took them a while. We finally approved the certified payrolls and paid that one. So they've submitted for basically now August 3rd through September 3rd.
With the rate.
So we would recommend approval and payment of this one. It's basically about the same amount. It was like 190, this one's 196.
That's fine.
And if we approve this one tonight, we'll include the first 2 rockier ones on the first SRF reimbursement request.
Do we need a motion to,
I don't know what they need, I don't think you need a
it's already
motion,
an
so.
approved?
it's- Yeah, so it would just be for you guys to
Signatures.
sign
Sign
if
it.
you approve it. So, you know, we've
Okay.
reviewed it and we've had some back and
There are
forth
5
with them on their
copies or
quantities.
something, is that the
This,
typical?
we've sent 5, yep. So if you guys wanna, execute that for Frank, and then we'll,
And then the first SRF reimbursement goes in?
so, yeah, we have the first SRF reimbursement request, I'll add that information into it. So I've sent to Frank and Rose in accounting, making sure we've got all the police detail slips. I think, you know, Frank's been sending, every time you guys get one, he's been sending it, and we've been keeping them all together. So I think we've got everything, our invoices, and the contractor's pay recs. So what we've been talking about before, one thing that, I guess complicates is the right word, makes it a little different for the SRF reimbursement requests is the whole grant with the housing authority that we need to also deal with in parallel.
Okay.
So as we put the first SRF reimbursement request together and determine how much money we're ready to request, I think the process that we've talked about is we first then need to figure out the housing authority's share of that,
Yes.
get an invoice off to them. The
Very good.
27%
All right.
is what
Harder
they've
than it
agreed
seems,
to.
isn't it?
Yeah,
You know?
and then we need to take that off, so we'll do the SRF reimbursement requests less the amount of money that you're getting
Yep.
from the housing authority grant. So we just need to figure out how we're gonna, what that's gonna look like. So the invoice to the housing authority, we kinda need to, once we have the first one done, then we'll have a pattern. And the first one, so if you remember, the 27.7% covers all of the money, from design right through construction. So basically the entire $5.7 million appropriation, their payment is 27.7% of that.
Right.
So Fran and I were talking about this earlier, so we probably should, there's the ineligible monies and then there's the SRF monies. We should send the housing authority an invoice for their 27% of the previously paid design costs to clear the books of that,
Yep.
and then
We're
keep
done
all the,
designing.
then keep all the SRF loan stuff cleaner by itself. So I think we'll have to do 2 requests to the housing authority.
And one.
Right now, there's gonna be more.
1 and 2 will go together, I think.
So the first 2 will go out together. One will be to clean up, you know, their share of all the monies, the ineligible monies expended to date, and then the one that goes with this first SRF reimbursement request. And then we'll just, with each SRF reimbursement request, we'll do that. So that's how we'll move forward. And the SRF reimbursement request, Frank is the authorized signature, so I don't think we need any action from the commission to get that executed and in, to request the monies. So,
Didn't we get the letter from the SR about the principal forgiveness with the
did.
last 2 weeks?
yeah,
Yes, we do.
So, yeah, a little over 2%, I think,
Yeah.
you're getting back.
it was a little over 100,000, right?
Yeah, yeah, it helps.
That's great.
Very
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it was, the reason you could do that is because you got the project out and awarded before July 1st.
Wow. Okay.
Scramble.
You scrambled,
Yeah.
but we got it done, $100,000 difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think part of the impetus of DOT, Mass DOT to approve it was the money issue. We explained to them if we don't,
Right,
it's a big difference to the town,
right.
so.
Yes.
No, not to mention, was that the one you drove around that day? Carried it here, carried it there. I turn around and you're behind me again. I'm like, yeah, Skawitz, what are you doing?
That is,
Hey,
hall.
you gotta sign this.
yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, thank you. for
Gotta
that.
do what you gotta do.
No, that's
That's
good.
good, hold on.
So, I guess that's the update. You know, progress continues to be a concern.
Sure.
You know, they're not gonna get it done this construction
No.
season. It's just, unless something gives really soon.
No, your test borings don't lie.
No,
It-
yeah, they're gonna, you know, hopefully they will hit some better they found some decent work on 123. The problem on 123 is they're in the deepest cut, so, hopefully there'll be some patches where they can make some progress. You
Yeah.
know, we'd love to get a couple of days where they get 100 feet in and we feel like we're making some progress. But it's gonna be a long
We
process.
need confidence booster days. They work all night in the 123 and send them down to play with gravity during the day. They'd be like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot what this was like.
Yeah.
You can actually set sticks.
It can actually
Xfinity's
work.
done
I see,
right?
I see a little
The
cube of pipe.
Xfinity
It's
season
just
is
like-
over, yep.
Usually there's a
Yep.
mile of green pipe. You see just like a chunk of pipe. I'm like, oh, that's not good. They know they're not getting any yet.
How fast they going? See, 500 feet a day?
2 days, they get 500 feet in 2 days.
It's 250.
Yeah, well, you can do that, shallow.
Yeah.
Good material.
Sandy
Good
material, no
material.
rock. Yeah.
And Home Street is lightly traveled, shall we say? It's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
not,
a kind of side street.
if you throw up a road close sign, nobody isn't even gonna blink. They're gonna go right around it like, what road?
Yeah.
Very good.
And so I guess the only other part of the West Main Street is there are still some issues of a property owner along the way that we'll address those between now and the next meeting.
Okay.
And it concerns the assessments, and the process for the assessments was well thought out by the commission
Mm-hmm.
and working with the selectmen on what the town share would be. So at some point, the cost of the costs, and just to remind you, the costs, and looking and comparing to what the folks at Winnicott paid for their betterment assessments, it's not that much more.
That was many years ago as well.
Exactly. So it's still the system is fair, it's reasonable, and like I said, well thought out, so people just need to know that. And I recall that when folks from a property or two came in, probably a month or two ago, we explained to them some of the things that could be done to keep the costs down. And I'll get that information to you so you can hand it off to them so they know what they're dealing with. But we might want to have a meeting with Christian at the Board of Health about what kind of cooperation we need from them with regard to the whole issue of the tie-ins.
Mhm.
And they're gonna need that for the whole state tax rebate, or tax credit. It's not a rebate, tax
Yeah.
credit.
It's from that end as well, but as good stewards of our safe community, I, as a contractor from time to time, have encountered houses that have been connected to sewer, and there has been no decommissioning of a septic tank and/or cesspools. So I guess it would be a joint inspection almost, as you, I guess if we fire off a letter to the Board of Health and say, at our inspection of the pipe, I guess we should at least trigger a handoff email or inspection sheet to them to say, such and such address has been inspected and approved with a new sewer line being here, and give them the as-built that we receive as the contractor provides us, and say, now the ball's in your court to make sure the cesspool that was active is now decommissioned, because it's not, some of them are in line with the sewer mains, and some of them are absolutely the other side of the property, and we don't expect people to jump around for us, but it's gotta be, I'd like to see checks and balances as we jump onto this new, more than a couple of sewer connections. Because it is a huge health hazard and risk. Several years back, a manhole flipped and a child was let into a septic tank, I think in Taunton. I don't know if it was active or not, but somebody had plowed it off or something, or nudged it with a plow. And if we can dot every I and cross every T on the inspections of the sewer line, and somehow alert, the health department that from their best records, we need to have the contractor at that same time. And I'm thinking back now that I'm talking, it could be on the sewer permit app.
Sign off.
you know, and it's gotta be, first stop is here, but the next place you're gonna go is the Board of Health for their records and you know, it's like sometimes you see the septic tank and or cesspools are in the back of the house, and obviously the sewer main's gonna go in the front, and if you have an unfinished basement, people are gonna pop through the wall and go, and someone's...
They forget about the back.
Yeah, you know, somebody in a hurry will say, not malicious perhaps, and people are trying to save a buck, but it's really gotta go. You gotta pump it and decommission them.
They must have a procedure, right? I mean, when they did all those sewer line connections in the reservoir, like back like what? 15
Well,
years
it's
ago,
funny,
20 years ago when they did that, they must have something
in
like this.
Wanacunnet, most of them were done, but I've got a few that weren't, and you run across these, and what do? You know, that's a bad thing,
Yeah.
you know? And now you've got a underground vessel there that's not in use, and it could be anything from, you know, somebody with a load of loom backing across the yard to
Multi-collapse around. Right?
anything.
Absolutely.
You know, it happens all the time, but it's our challenge now to make it so it's airtight. I want to at least send something and ask what, ask what, I don't even care about bylaws, just ask what the Board of Health, how they want to get involved.
Right.
And as we do a sewer permit on a property, it's got to be, as a contractor, I run from office to office anyway. Just go, here's your sewer permit. This in turn has to be signed off on the Board of Health that
Yeah.
here's their decommissioning, and you can do it whichever day you want, but
Yep.
once, I guess you don't, your permit's not signed off until that section
all the boxes are checked.
from the Board of Health is
Exactly.
Yeah.
checked off, and it seems basic, but I think if we just look at that and remember, you know, at the end of the day, there's already somebody there with a machine, and there's nobody going back there to look for a cesspool again for eternity until they put an addition over the stupid thing. But that's something would be great as a cross-check with
Did
the
you have
Board
to
of
take
Health.
out everything to decommission the system? Did you take out the D-box?
No,
The
you
lines, the
pump-
greasy field, all that stuff, or
No,
just
that's-
the tank?
Yeah, the tank.
Just the tank?
Pump, you want a certificate of pumping from the septic pumper, and then crush and fill with sand, or however they want
Right.
to
Okay.
remove it or whatever, but,
The best thing is just talk to Christian first
yep.
and just say, okay, let's discuss
See what his
what
procedure
he
is.
did back, I mean, he wasn't there when
No,
I was
right.
there.
Right.
But most towns have similar procedures.
Right.
And just to sign off.
But it just, as our department
Part
and
of the
their
job.
department, it's, a lot of people are, I can't say standoffish, but not inclusive.
Right.
And this is really something that it would be good to have,
Cooperation.
it would almost have, you know, as we're going out to inspect,
One stop.
to say, hey,
Yeah.
meet me over at, you know, 289 West Main Street.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
And they should be thinking about it because they know that there's a huge sewer job going on. There's a lot of better
Yeah.
connections
Oh, they know
coming
it's
up.
coming.
It's coming, yeah, so.
But you know how it goes
I
until
don't think about it.
the sewer permit gets
Right.
pulled here and nobody goes there.
Right, right, right.
So if we can, if we put just
I agree.
some kind of check and balance on that, I think it will improve the probability that it goes well
Make people
for
happy.
for everybody.
And the thing is too, that with regard to that, you've got the 5-year tie-in requirement,
Mhm.
so folks have a long time.
Right,
You might get an initial hit for several.
right.
and
There were a lot of stragglers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
it'll take a while for them, folks to get up the money to tie in.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's something we can at least get to these people, and then maybe at some point do a mass mailing to everybody.
Right.
That's along the way to say,
Right.
this is coming, here's something you can start thinking about doing, you know, when it's ready to be used, and it's not gonna be for a while.
Right. Unless Cumberland Farms gets a signature, they'll be digging the next day, apparently. Everybody abandons machines on their site. That guy will be on.
Maybe they're waiting to go.
Pretty sure the Ace Hardware is gonna be installing the connection.
Exactly,
as soon
yeah,
as it's hooked up.
they
Right.
wait
They're
also.
waiting.
Yep.
They get
Oh,
for it.
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the brewery uses a lot.
Bog iron.
So the question, how many people are licensed, how many contractors are licensed to do this work in town, you know?
Right now, I believe there's only 3
Okay.
that have paid for their drain layers permit and license. I expect that number to increase as we move closer
A lot
to
of
the
money
end.
you need. Yeah.
think that's it.
That is it on
I think so.
the Western Sampson
Yeah.
updates, yes.
Very good.
We're gonna set a date.
I think we said something about October 8th.
That's
14
good.
from that is the 22nd.
8, 10, 17.
10 already.
What about, oh, we don't get affected by town meeting. That's right, it's on Monday. So,
Right.
I always have to juggle the Concom meetings based on when town meeting is.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, but it doesn't affect us at all.
I don't think, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes the specials will get us and
Yeah.
we can't do that, but whatever, we're all right.
So we need a motion to adjourn, or anything else, or
I resist the motions to adjourn only because
does no one second it?
I don't know. I don't want to overlook something. Do we have anything floating?
I do not believe so.
We already approved the water rate increase that we discussed now several weeks ago. That was done. Good.
That was done last meeting.
So yes, I will give you the favorite motion and I will second it.
Did we, okay.
Oh, all right, go ahead. What did you what?
So we're in the process now of changing all the settings for the new bills that are gonna be going on in March, right? Like that's, the
That will
process is
be-
gonna get
yes.
started soon, so now that we have the approval done, we can get the logistics in place.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, you tell the office staff to mess with the rates and they're on it. They don't like the way it happened, I've heard. The staggering is
Yeah, that.
some grief and aggravation there, but it's money work. Keep
Change it once.
working at it.
Change it again.
They'll get it.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, so
Motion
now,
to adjourn.
seconded. All in favor? Aye.